is unjust. Of that I am certain. And an empire of the unjust is not worth defending.
What's going on, guys? It's Kelly Q here, and today we're going to be covering the Seign chapter DLC of Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Now, this video won't be that long of a review because there's only so much in these DLCs that I can cover without spoiling the entire contents because they are so darn short. So let me jump into a few impressions in my review of this DLC. So this DLC is activated by going into Seign's room with Noah, and he'll tell you about their little escapade that they had during the time that Seign was in the capital still, and he had to go and save the Emperor. So him and his crew come up with this plan to infiltrate the capital and save the Emperor from the Baron's clutches and Deuce Aldrich's betrayal. As far as gameplay, you're primarily in Ardenel City, and that is the only city that you stay in because, once again, these DLCs are small in scope and scale, so don't expect too much traveling or anything. You're literally just in the city. One of the highlights of the DLC is being introduced to a brand new character named Grace. She has history with Seign that I won't go into because you should just play it for yourself before I spoil everything here on this video. But she is a new playable character, and she's pretty cool to me overall. She has a nice personality, she has this backstory with Seign as well, and she adds a little bit to the party. The crew is then transported back to the hideout where we devise a plan of sorts to infiltrate the castle and get what we need to create this room. This room will allow us to use a certain mechanic in order to infiltrate the castle to successfully save the Emperor. Now, I'm being extremely vague here on purpose because, again, I do not want to spoil the contents of this DLC. There's not much in here, so me saying certain keywords will pretty much spoil it for anyone watching this review. So we are then infiltrating this castle, this museum, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's talk about Grace in combat. She sort of uses this rune gun, pulse gun, whatever you want to say. That's what she uses, and she's a long-range character. Now, I like her attack. She gets the 2 quick pulse shots, if you will. But once again, my issue with Eiyuden Chronicle and its combat system is Grace doesn't have any special runes. I don't even think she has a special unite attack with any of the characters, which is highly and extremely disappointing, especially for her to be a DLC character. Now, maybe I didn't spend as much time as I should have on this DLC, so maybe throwing her in on the main cast, she'll find some sort of unite or team attack. But during my short time playing this, I couldn't find one. I didn't see one. She didn't have one with any of the main cast that is in Seign's party. And I don't know, man, that's an area where Eiyuden Chronicle as a whole just missed the mark a little bit by not having these characters have hero combos. Sorry, I've been playing Suikoden so much. They're actually called hero combos in this game, but we all know what they are supposed to be. So her special skill is the expert evasion, which once again is pretty boring because so many characters in the cast has that special ability. So there's not too much here that changes from the main game combat wise. We get a couple of new enemy sprites here and there, but it is pretty much business as usual. So back on to our task of saving the Emperor, Metal Gear Eiyuden, and it's pretty much a cool corridor type of place, but again, there's nothing too special here. I was looking through nooks and crannies. It's pretty much just run through and you'll eventually get to your objective with getting random amounts of money here and there. Now, once we reach our destination, we then run into the most scariest enemy of all time, and that is the PlayStation Golem that we saw in the base game of Eiyuden Chronicle. The cast acts as though they hadn't faced golems before, and that was pretty funny because I was never excited to fight this enemy from the beginning. One positive thing I can say about the environments this time around is I really do like the design of the castle. There's some pretty cool artwork on the background, and I really enjoyed the aesthetic of this castle as a whole. So there are some positives here. It looks visually pleasing just as it did in the main game, but I couldn't be motivated to fight any of the enemies because I was just too overpowered, which a lot of us is playing this from probably a completed save file. And if you're doing that, this makes every encounter pretty much fodder. There's zero challenge. You can allow almost every enemy to flee. And I don't know what they were thinking when it comes to us completed players. The battles are just nuisances and they just get in the way of you just wanting to continue the story of the DLC. So we finally find the young emperor and we're here, and this is where a little bit more story context is revealed. So I'm going to just skim over this so that we're not spoiled. If you guys would like me to make a spoiler version, please let me know, but I'm trying to do this with the mind of people who may not have played it and are looking to get into it. So please bear in mind, I'm being extremely vague on purpose. So now we run into the PlayStation Golem and there's no choice but to fight him this time around. And this being the climax of the DLC has got to be one of the most disappointing climaxes I have ever seen. You can tell that there really wasn't a unique enemy to put in this certain portion of the game or during this time slot of the game. So the developers just thought to throw in another PlayStation Golem. I'm calling him PlayStation Golem because his icons look like the X button on the PlayStation controller to me. So we get this cool battle angle, which I do love the angles in Eiyuden Chronicle. That's one thing I have to say. It did extremely well. But here we are at the climax of the DLC and we're fighting the golem. And again, there's not much here that you have not experienced already in the base game. And this was an extremely disappointing way to end the DLC because this is it. This is the climax. Even with Grace, even with the cast, this was just not exciting. And I'm saying this out of pure love. I love Rabbit and Bear Studios and I love Eiyuden Chronicle. But once again, I cannot in good faith recommend this DLC if you're not already a backer. There's no way you should pay the $7.99 or $6.99 fee, maybe $2 at most if we're being generous. Grace, once again, has no particularly fun runes to play with either. It's just, I don't really know here, guys. So once we defeat the big scary golem, Baron runs away because the Emperor is giving him that smoke, and we are then transported back to the home base. Now, there is a great cutscene here with Seign and Grace and learning a little bit more about her history with Seign and his brother and their connection. And the best part is that Grace joins the party, and yes, she is a playable DLC character even in the base game. So if you have this DLC, welcome. You just got a brand new character. So here we are back at the Castle of Heroes. And like Seign just said, that is the gist of it. The DLC ends there. And me in good faith, once again, I cannot recommend paying for this DLC. Now, if you're a backer and you want more of this story and you were really curious about what Seign was doing, this is, it's great for that. It's a great filler for that. But boy, I cannot recommend this to the newcomer. I just cannot. So guys, that's the gist of it. It did give me something to come back to Eiyuden Chronicle for, and I would rate it slightly higher than the Marisa one. The Marisa one was probably definitely the lowest one so far. So me loving Seign and his aesthetic and the characters that he was around, I do recommend it if you're a backer. However, I cannot recommend this if you are looking to purchase it. There's no way in good faith I can do that. So the last hope is the Marcus DLC. I'm expecting at least something decent from that. This DLC's total runtime was once again about an hour, 2 hours if you wing it. But yeah, I don't know, guys. The DLC has been a little disappointing for me, but I totally understand because maybe it was just meant for a different reason, different purpose. I don't know. Thank y'all for watching the video. Let me know if you are playing Eiyuden Chronicles or plan on playing this DLC, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.